As I told you before, we were thinking of someday bringing Upper Moreland back to the status of Yankee band in the Yankee Conference. And the groupings of the Cavalcade of Bands in this area are from the top to the bottom: the Yankee Conference, the Liberty Conference, the American, and the Independents. And when I came, we were an American band, and now we're a Liberty band. And we've done very, very well up in Hershey every year at the championships at the end of the year, and this year proves to be no different, although I think we're going to do even better this year. We're undefeated so far this year. We're getting closer to the other Yankee bands. There seems to be less of a differential now. Our first performance out, we scored within 3 points of North Penn, who was the defending champion in a school, I'm sure, twice our size. And Archbishop Ryan, with over 6,000 students to draw from, we scored within 5 points of them. And these are bands that are not even in our conference. They're in the conference above us. So we're competitive when they're playing right now, and we're still in the conference below. So I expect real good things for November championships. It's on the 5th this year in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Schools. I'm Bob Clark, Director of Media Services for the Upper Moreland School District, and I'm so pleased that you could be with us for tonight's program. You've just heard Ted Brehony, the leader of the band at the Upper Moreland High School, in a prediction or a goal that he established for himself and his young people just a couple weeks ago. Little did we know when we aired that broadcast that our young people and their talented leaders would make it all happen. Tonight, to honor the youngsters, the teachers, and the parents whose combined talents brought to Upper Moreland High School a state championship, we decided we'd like to chat once more with Ted Brehony and find out how he felt having won the championship, and then a little later in the cablecast to present both the entire program, the actual videotape performance at Hershey, and to also bring you highlights again of the very special honor bestowed upon the band by the Upper Moreland School Board. Mr. Ted Brehony first. When the moment occurred, in that glorious instant when you realized that you had done what you set out to do, how did you feel personally? Do you remember that instant?
Yes, I was over with the other instructors in front of our band. The band was up in the stadium. It was very cold in Hershey that evening. So cold, in fact, that the rain which had occurred earlier in the day had frozen the benches. The students had to be very careful. So we were down on the track which borders the competition field, and of course all the scenario is set. The drum majors are out front. They have announced the top recipients in order, reverse order, and they get down to the top three. And of course they stop at that point and they say, now we're going to announce the special awards. The special awards always give you a key as to what band probably has first place, and they announced the High Marching Award, and that had been one of our trouble spots throughout the year. We had to really work very, very hard on getting our marching up to snuff because we were winning in a lot of the other categories. But the marching award went to another school. Of course, then we had to keep our fingers crossed because we knew the next thing was music and general effect. They announced the High Music Award went to Upper Moreland. Now it was a matter of, was it going to be a tie or who was going to take the general effect? Because usually you can tell, almost always you can tell. If you take 2 out of 3, you have the show. Excuse me. We went down to general effect, and of course the announcer, and trying to make it as exciting as possible, held and said, and the general effect award went to Upper Moreland. At that point, they went to announce the top 3 finalists, and we were pretty certain at that point that we had a very good shot at it. Right at that time, a fellow band director, a friend of mine, had issued his way across from the other side of the stadium over, and he just went over and he grabbed my shoulder and he said, I saw the show, nothing to worry about, you guys were fantastic. Matter of fact, he's the director of Mannheim. They are also a champion last year. They had won the Liberty Championship. And he said, you got it in the bag. Beautiful show. He said, I have not been that excited about a band program, and I can't tell you how many years. And that really gave me a good feeling. Of course, then they announced the 3, third position, second position. When they announced second position, then of course we knew we had won. And it was just phenomenal. I just did everything that we had been working for the 6 years, all there in front, to turn around and look up at the kids, and they were just jumping all over and just ecstatic and so enthusiastic, incredible. And it was really, you talk about that aesthetic, emotional high that you get with no other type of activity, knowing that together as a team we had put it together. I turned to my Al Moffat was next to me, and we hugged each other because he and I go way back. And when it first started, Al was the one I told you originally made the phone call to me on behalf of Doug Fitzgerald, the former band director, and said, come down and take a look at the position at Upper Moreland. So he's the first one I remember hugging. And then I beelined it straight up into the stands where my wife was with the twirling section. I had slipped and I'd cut my leg. I didn't even know it. I was that far off. That's telling you the benches were wet. And of course we embraced for quite a while. And then we just went around to the different instructors, and of course the instructors were celebrating and the students were celebrating, and then they let the students come back across the field that were representing our group, the 5 students, our council, and the drum majors, and of course in the band just onslaught right onto the field and just unbelievable. And then of course the parents joined in and that sort of thing. We've had some judges that came down and said, one of the judges came up to me and said, just before I left I wanted to shake your hand. I've been judging your band now since you've been director, and I have never seen a product like this one at Upper Moreland. Very nice. He came across, he's from New Jersey, just made the trip all the way across the field to congratulate us and say what a fantastic, but it's just, the feeling was just phenomenal. I just can't describe it, and it still hasn't really gone away. It just lasted and lasted, and that feeling of accomplishment. Looking at the kids, everybody in tears, myself included, just knowing that we had accomplished what we had set out to do and had done it in perfect style, an undefeated season. Just phenomenal. I trouble putting it into words. You can recapture it. I'm sure we look at it as a video. We get downstairs now and look at our video performance, knowing that performance was the one that was the championship show for Upper Moreland. Still brings a tear to most of the students' eyes, even viewing it a couple of weeks later. So that was kind of how it was.
What do you think, and I hate to be cold and calculating at a time like this, but what do you think was the reason for the 1983 success? What were you able to bring together this year?
I've asked myself that same question several times. As I told you earlier in the season, we had lost a great amount of talent, abundance of talent. In the senior class, we graduated some really super musicians. Looking at this year, we knew we had to pull together and work as a team. We were going to try to feature our best ingredients, at least the students, musicians, and the band front, and try to incorporate our strongest elements in the key points of the program. We decided that, for example, our jazz band program is very strong, so we decided to go with a jazz-flavored concert number. And I got this idea. I'd seen Upper Dublin several years ago had used a microphoning system, but it was not very highly developed in their concert number. I said, boy, if we could get that saxophone sound up into the audience, what a beautiful blend we could get out of the sax section. So we were thinking about doing a thing which Barry Manilow had done in his live concert, which is a medley of Avenue C and Jumpin' at the Woodside from the big band era. And we experimented a little bit, and more we find that, hey, we're going to be able to do this. Over the summer we were working with some ideas. We brought out our jazz band equipment, we set it up, we found out that the speakers that we were using weren't quite big enough. There was some distortion, so I called a friend that I knew, and he brought down, matter of fact, he's our percussion instructor, Dave Rutherford, lent us speakers that he had from another friend of his that he was holding until he was going to be using them again, and got permission from him to use them. We used those speakers. They were large Yamaha speakers that could handle it. We have new equipment downstairs, but we didn't want to take that out into the weather, and he seemed to have no problem taking that out into the elements, so we used that. And we had some trouble during the year with that. We had some times where the system came on so loud that you could, the saxes just overbalanced the band. It was to our detriment. But by the end of the year, we had that honed in really well, and that became a big plus. We decided again to feature our twirling section in that same concert selection. We have been famous for a line drill, which we do in back of our percussion section during the second part of our presentation after the opener. And we decided to go with that and try to make that a little bit more flashing. We changed our format of the opener. We went to a more classically based entrance number, which we figured would give the judges a chance to sample the entire band and band front without necessarily featuring any one particular section. So we went with a classical selection for the opener. Out of the concert, we wanted something which would really get the people going. We decided to put some hand clapping in and that sort of stuff. So I think it was basically programming that did it. We featured as much as we could without extending any one unit. Try to give each unit something they could really work on. And of course, the music that developed this year just surprised the heck out of all of us. The musicianship that developed from the time we began in the summer to the time we first hit the field. As a matter of fact, recall an instance where a former president of the music patrons, Bob Mundy, had related this, or his wife had come home and said from the preview in the summertime, and he said, well, how are they going to be this year? She shook her head. She said, well, not this year, Bob. And the difference between that Thursday and the following Saturday night was phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. What the students did to pull together, and the musicianship just increased. And that's the way it went from contest to contest as the year went on. So I think it's the ability to feature our best students and give everybody a chance at doing something in the show, which eventually led to the success of the program, a more unified team effort.
Have you begun to consider 1984?
Yes, we have a meeting in 2 weeks. We're starting with a party, which will be the second week of December. And that following Monday night, we'll have our first staff meeting, and we'll begin to consider selections for next year's show. Programming, format, take a look at our strengths and weaknesses already. I've already had a very good handle on the middle school because I teach there now, so I know what we're getting as far as musicianship coming up from the middle school, which is very strong, I might add. We expect another fantastic year next year. I think the onus is on us to produce another good show, good repertoire, entertaining program, but something which will give everybody a little bit of something in the program and keep everybody's interest the entire time.
Having achieved so much, do you think it's possible to do it again?
Well, possible, absolutely. Probability usually finds that most of the bands that do it will continue to at least place. That is in the top 3. Now, there's the way our system is set up in the Cavalcade, there's a very strong possibility we'll be moving up to the larger conference. As in sports programs, you basically compete against the same groups all the time because your school size depends on who you compete against. In Cavalcade, school size is definitely a factor. It's a heavy weight given to school size. But in addition to that, there's also given an incentive program to continually grow, get bigger, stronger, and to move up. And as you recall, my original goal was to bring Upper Moreland back up into the Yankee Conference. I think we're ready to go. I don't think we're going to go in and wipe up the Liberty Conference overnight. Or the Yankee Conference, overnight. I think it'll take a few years. But I think we can give anybody a run for their money. And I'm going based on qualified people that have saw our program this year, have seen our program this year. We had, for example, North Penn took second place this year overall. Very, very close to first place in the Yankee Conference. Archbishop Ryan won the Yankee Conference. 3 weeks before the championship, we defeated North Penn, which if you consider scores being equal for the rest of the year, that would have put us in second place. We came within 3 points of Archbishop Ryan throughout the season, which put us very, very much competitive in that next conference above us. And we had the third highest scoring average in Cavalcade for the entire year this year, and we still, this past year, had the highest score for one particular show. We scored over an 85. No Cavalcade show or band, not even in the championship shows, scored an 85. So we hold the highest scoring this year. I think we would have been very competitive in the Yankee Conference this year. I think next year, knowing what we have to do, getting prepared, recruiting once again, trying to boost our membership even more so for the following year, may find us a champion. I'm certainly pushing in that direction. We can't go in it with anything less. Our sights are set for number 1 position and see where the chips fall. As long as they do their best show, and of course that's what I always tell the students. Judges will call shows. Somebody may drop something that never has been dropped before. Somebody may mess up a solo because their lips are fatigued or whatever. Things happen in a show. You can't, the best plans, you can't always be certain of the best performance. But as long as they go out and do the best job they can under the circumstances, then they're winners.
Let's take a look now at the program and the performance that garnered for the Upper Moreland High School Marching Band this year's top position.
We proudly present for your listening and viewing entertainment, the Upper Moreland.
Like these two here once.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
performance like that is truly remarkable, especially when you consider all of the effort that goes into the coordination of talents. In a very unique move, the members of the Upper Moreland School Board decided to celebrate the victory of the band and to acknowledge their accomplishment in a very special ceremony that was held prior to the monthly school board meeting. For the benefit of our viewers who were unable to attend, we share with you now highlights of the special presentation honoring the band.
In a very few minutes, at the monthly meeting of our board, we will act upon a resolution publicly recognizing your state championship and reading into the official minutes the name of each director and every student who is a part of the Upper Moreland 1983-84 high school marching band.
As the Board of School Directors of the School District of Upper Moreland Township, a proclamation. Whereas the Cavalcade of Bands Association Incorporated Liberty Conference Field Competition awarded the 7th Annual 1983 Championship Trophy at Hershey, Pennsylvania, first place award for high general effects and high music execution to the Upper Moreland marching unit. First, we appreciate the untiring efforts committed to this great endeavor. Secondly, we understand the amount of time that was devoted to perfecting techniques. Thirdly, we acknowledge the fine spirit and teamwork demonstrated in this competition. Therefore, we, the members of the Board of School Directors of the School District of Upper Moreland Township, extend our most sincere congratulations to all participants and proclaim the Upper Moreland Marching Unit champions of the 1983 competition, signed on the 14th day of November, 1983.
It's great to be a champion, but overall, the most marvelous part of this particular activity are the words of the young people themselves. Indeed, they are the best, but the Upper Moreland High School Marching Band has been successful for years in combining the talents of our young people and providing them with an avenue where they can share the experience of music and teamwork. To the parents, to the leaders, to Ted Brehony, to the young people, we all offer our congratulations. They've done it this year. Who knows? In 1984, they'll just probably do it again. For Your Schools, I'm Bob Clark. Thanks for being with us. Your Schools is a production of the Department of Media Services of the School District of Upper Moreland Township, which is solely responsible for the content of these cablecasts. In addition, this series